forced to pay. In communist California, there's no cap. So you could be paying $100,000 a month, and there are a lot of men in California that do pay that amount. That's why in the NBA circles, you kind of say you never have a kid with a girl from California. That's not funny. We probably should change that culture, but it's true. It's an actual saying. But my point is, in Minnesota, we have some decently fair laws in that they put a cap on it. 10% of your monthly income. You're making $20,000 every 2 weeks like I was. $2,500 every 2 weeks. About $5,000 a month. Nobody told me that when I stopped getting NBA checks, it was on me to go back into the court and modify my child support. That I had to inform the court of my change of employment. See, because nobody had to inform them where to go to take my money. Right. Nobody ever has to inform the IRS where to go to take your money, but every time they have to mail you a refund, you gotta let them know you changed your address, right? Like they don't know where you are. Get it? I didn't know that. At 21 years old, how could I know? I'd never been in a courtroom. I had never been in a family courtroom. So what happened was 8 or 9 months had gone by where I could no longer meet the obligation at the NBA salary. And before you know it, I'm $60,000 in arrears. All in the first 8 months. Because that's how high my support order was. Until I was able to go back, find an attorney, hire an attorney, with very little money now, hire an attorney to go back into court and argue to modify my support. And what I found out was when I stopped paying support and I became delinquent on the support order, the court had reconvened and somebody had made the case that my support should continue on at an NBA salary because I had the potential to make $20,000 a month. You see why I'm running for office? Because the corruption in the American court system is personal to me. I know it personally. A family court referee sat in a court, official judicial proceeding, and made the argument that in the most rarefied profession in America, I had the opportunity, whenever I wanted, to make $20,000 a month. $20,000 every 2 weeks. They knew better then, they knew better now. The point I'm making is, and the reason I tell you the story, anybody who would use child support, the American family court system, the American anti-family court system, as a country to go after a man's character is telling you everything you need to know about him. They're telling you that anything that comes from a majority is both righteous and equal. And those are your neocon Joes and your other mainstream media institutions. They believe in the courts. They want you to believe in the courts. They want to make sure you don't vote for an convicted felon. They want to make sure you don't vote for somebody who owes back child support. But they never want to talk about the details of how it happened. Because they had faith in the system. They had faith in how it works. Joe Frazier, my opponent, but not just him, all of them. This has become a common criticism. You're $100,000 behind the back child support. Let me ask you another thing. When I talked about that divide between men and women, if a woman was to lose her job, her employment, her housing, would we ever question her love for her child because of that? If a woman could no longer feed her child or provide a roof over her child's head, would we ever question her love or care for that child? No, the answer is no. That's why we have the welfare system. The whole welfare system is predicated on the very fact that if a woman loses the ability to take care of her child, we will step in and do it for her as a community, as a country, right? So why when a man loses his employment and can no longer make child support payments, do we say he doesn't love his kids? It's illogical. It's an attack on men. It's an assumption about men. And really what they're saying, and this is the real sneak, this is how Satan really works. This is why they're scared of me, because I know how to articulate this stuff. This is how Satan really works. What they're really saying to you is if you can't meet the arbitrary standard of radical materialism that we have in this country, you're better off killing your kid in the womb. Does everybody track that? Yeah. If you can't meet the arbitrary standard that we set in a courtroom based on a radical materialist culture and society, you were better off just having an abortion. And guess what the number one reason is that black women, young black women cite having abortions? Can't afford it. Not the same for white, affluent, liberal millennial women. They don't want to have children because bringing children into a world that's riddled with white supremacy is repugnant. You know, bringing a child into the world and the society that my white forebears, my fathers and my uncles, the racists, bringing a child into that world is beyond my ability to stomach. That's why I'm killing my kid. Black women not the same. They say we can't afford it. Who do you think helped build that culture? No, it ain't black or white. It's the system. Right. The American anti-family court system that brings families in, drags them through the mud, puts them through turmoil, sets prices arbitrarily that people can't meet, and it creates a disconnect and divide amongst families. Those are the things that Kendall Claus won't come talk to you about. That nuance right there. Because even part of him, as much as he wants to talk about the nuclear family, he has to defend the way the system works. And it's not a conspiracy. Like my friend Steve Bannon says, there are no conspiracies, but there are no coincidences. It's just how the system works. So that's the story about the $100,000. It was never legitimate to begin with.
Did she have quadruplets or something?
Why you say that?
$5,000. Do you have 4 kids?
Oh yes, I have. Oh, the other 2 live with me. The other two of my children live with me. Okay. 2 of them don't.
Are you married to the mother?
The 2 that live with me.
Sorry, I'm getting.
Yes. No, the 2 that live with me, I'm married to their mother. The 2 that don't, I wasn't. But no, yeah, I have 4 kids total. But the $100,000 comes from one case.
Okay.
Which also tells you something, because they're basically saying, doesn't matter about the kids that live in your home. We want to pull on the family. We want to create strife between the mother that we're ordering you to pay $100,000 and the woman that you're taking care of right there in your home. You understand? It's divisive. It's divisive, and they know it is. So that's the story about the $100,000. I hope you can.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want to say something on that too, because I think a lot of you probably don't know that he paid interest on interest on interest that whole entire time until probably the last year. That adds up fast on that amount of money.
On 100,000. The interest. Oh, well, who sets the interest rate?
They just stopped that interest. They just stopped that as probably a year ago.
The interest in Minnesota.
Yes.
Well, and here's the thing. So the interest is so high. I'll give you an example. The
And who
interest
gets that interest, right? The moms don't.
Oh,